It was, I think, just over 10%.
Okay, so how is the UAE achieving these incredible rankings? Well, I'm joined in the studio now by an expert. Dr. Paige Keningale is a criminologist who works as a lecturer in this country in policing, security studies, and that is at the Rabdan Academy in Abu Dhabi. And we've just discovered that pretty much every police person goes through that academy. Is that right, Dr. Paige?
Yeah, the majority, yes.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to come in with a pretty full on question. What is the secret of the UAE's success?
I think it's believing in the safety. Everyone wants to be safe. Everybody wants to have a brilliant life. And that comes from the top to the bottom. You know, the leaders are very, strict, and they share what the vision and the mission is of this country. And those that step in to live in the UAE or visit, we all do our part to ensure that we are safe.
Okay, that's really interesting because that, of course, is perception. Ultimately, it's a bubble, I suppose. Is it? But I'm a bit more cynical, I have to admit. Yes, are you sure it's not got anything to do with the fact there's an awful lot of resources? There's a lot of CCTV cameras and there's a lot of police people.
Yes, no, I definitely think you're right to say that and to observe that. Yes, wherever you are now, those are driving to work or wherever you're going, walking, you're seeing CCTV everywhere. Now, those CCTV resources that we have, they are advancing rapidly. I follow many Instagram accounts that talk about the changes in the UAE, and now we have CCTV that are looking at phones and speed and moving to different sides of the roads when you're on the highway. These are really advancements in keeping us safe. But it's not just CCTV that enables us to be prepared. It's also patrols, driving, walking again, even in the malls, in the airports, you are seeing officers in their uniform 24/7. Now, that sends a very strong message, and that is we do not tolerate any crime or anything that goes against the mission of the country. So I think that helps us with the preparedness of the UAE.
How about the training of those police officers? Because certainly from outside the country, there is a perception here that those police men and women are pretty austere, pretty scary. You certainly wouldn't want to cross them.
Yes. Yes. I mean, look, I would want them to be a bit scary. They've got a really big role, first-handed experience. I'm training along with my colleagues in the policing and security team at Rabdan Academy. Officers that are very young, going into these leadership positions. Now, that holds a heavy weight in terms of how we keep this country safe. Now, through that training, we are preparing them with scenarios, with responsibilities, with how to act, human rights, ethics, investigations, crime scenes, many different ways of facilitating their job. So they might look scary, but they're absolutely brilliant. And they are some of the best students I think I've ever worked with in terms of they believe in it. And like I say to them when they leave, we've just recently had a graduation for Rabdan Academy. When they leave me and my colleagues in the classroom and they go out there with their uniforms on and they're tackling crime, wherever that might be or whatever that might be, they're not only keeping their family safe, but they're keeping me and my family safe. That is a big role. And we weren't all born here. So the fact that
Well,
they're
there are
doing that,
so many different nationalities,
yes.
and that brings so many cultural differences that I imagine we're quite a difficult population to police, potentially.
No, speaking with our students, they are very aware that we all come with different cultural values, beliefs, and that does not get in the way of how they facilitate their roles. If anything, they're very in tune with what that might be, and they welcome that here in the UAE. They're not against that. But, I keep in contact with students now. When crime does happen, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're committing a crime, they're going to arrest you and put you away,
Yes.
So
Can I ask, are they all Emirati, the police staff personnel, or is it from every nationality?
So mostly Emirati. We've got a couple of individuals, let's say at Rabdan Academy, that are from different parts of the world that are joining us more recently to train with us to help their law enforcement agencies where they're from and born from. So, we're leading the way in terms of the security infrastructure here in the UAE.
Okay, so how much does prediction and preparation come into policing? We've all seen Minority Report and the various sort of films that sort of, and the use
Yes.
of AI to sort of figure out where crimes are more likely to happen. Is that something that you guys are starting to use?
Well, I think we've always had that. That's a capability we have in our law enforcement agencies. You can call them hotspot mapping, you can call them problem-orientated policing. There are different strategies and resources we have to facilitate investigations where crime is most prominent in different locations. But, they're specialised units, ones that I'm not particularly, have too much knowledge about. Obviously, I train these officers in intelligence, so that is a little bit specialist, and we know these are capabilities that we have, and they are most probably using them. When crime does happen, you sometimes see it on Instagram, on Time Out Dubai or Abu Dhabi, where they put out who they've arrested and what for. So yes, that is definitely a way to prepare, but also predict where crime may happen and may be occurring currently as we speak.
Okay, so the UAE is in a very difficult position in the sense that it can really only go down now in the crime rankings. Can't really go up, or else it's just got this very tricky task of holding that position, because it's what we expect now. And in fact, someone's just texted in. Let me get to my text messages. It's a really good one here. This person says, I have literally not locked my car for the past 19 years. Why do we feel safe? Well, we're visitors here. You'll be going home if you don't follow the very clear rules. I love the UAE. Sarah says, very simply, the UAE's zero tolerance policy on crime and the severity of punishments acts as a key deterrent, making it safe for good citizens and residents to live in peace and safety. I have to say, it is literally the main reason why I've stayed in this country.
The safety.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
They can run around. I've got no fears about crime, ultimately. No one's going to knife them when they get on a bus.
And this is what's so important. My students actually ask me sometimes, Doctor, why did you move here?
Yeah.
And originally I was meant to move to Canada. I was working out there for a little bit, and I had this wonderful opportunity to move over here. And it was literally, like Sarah and yourself is saying, growing up in London, I couldn't go out with noise cancellation headphones and not look over my shoulder sometimes.
Especially as a woman. You really can't. And I used to imagine, there's this programme in the UK called Crime Watch.
Yes.
And they do these reenactments. And when I was walking home from the tube after dark, and by the way, it's dark at 4 p.m. in the winter in England, I would have my keys in my fingers like a kind of attack. I mean, what I thought I was going to do if a man attacked me, I don't know. But you had your fingers in your keys, so they almost made a sort of like a Wolverine.
Yes.
Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
I understand what you mean. But here, you might be the same. I can go for a run at 5 a.m. It's dark outside. I've got my music blaring. I'm in a good mood. And I know I'm going to get home safely. My husband and I have just recently got married, and the next steps is family. And living here, I have no worries. About my children, my future children growing up here.
Amazing. Well, it's in part thanks to you. You're training these young women and men to be police officers. Dr. Paige Keningale, I have a feeling we're going to have you on the radio a lot more, but thank you very much for your inaugural visit. Dr. Paige Keningale, criminologist, working for the Rabdan Academy in Abu Dhabi. She's a lecturer in policing and security studies, and you might not know, but that is where people learn how to be policemen and women. Interesting stuff, and I'd love to keep your comments coming. So do message me 4001, or you can WhatsApp me 04871 5500. What do you think is the secret to the UAE's safety success?
More of The Agenda is coming up next
on the UAE's #1 talk radio station, Dubai.